All right, good morning and welcome to the September 2024 Delaware County Council meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mike Ashley, would you kick us off?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Webb,
I'm here.
Mr. Flanagan,
Present.
Mr. Mokel,
Here.
Mr. Hughes,
Here.
Mr. Whitehead,
Present.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Ms. Piper,
Here.
Mr. Freeman.
Here.
Mr. Carroll.
As a reminder, questions from the public may be directed to County Council dist@co.delaware.in.us. Again, that is County Council dist@co.delaware.in.us. Was the agenda posted? All right, this time I'll entertain an approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I'll now entertain an approval of the August 27th County Council minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Roll call, please.
May I make a comment, please?
Yes, you may.
I sure would like to see these just a little bit quicker if possible.
Okay,
That's all.
all right. Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on to the transfer and appropriation agenda. You're all by yourself today.
All falls on you.
No
No
pressure.
pressure.
All right, starting with transfers and county general. Extension office, 131. 211 office supplies, negative 640. 361 repairs and maintenance equipment machinery, positive 640, for a total transfer of 0.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Do we have any questions?
We don't have a representative from
We do not. Where is Justin?
No, I sent out the notes on this one. This was printer overages. Basically, they have a printer that they've pay by the sheet apparently, or by the copy, and it's been unplugged for a couple months because they were going over. They're fully staffed now. I also asked Sarah from the commissioner's office to get with them to find out why their printer doesn't appear to be either through Weber or the same program that we have in other offices. So that's supposed to be looked. Those are mine.
I would say, although it is a minor transfer, typically, I'm not saying it's written in stone or nothing, but typically, if the representative for the office making the request isn't in attendance, we've tabled it till the next meeting.
I'll see if I can't get a hold of Justin. He's usually here.
Can we possibly put this towards the end of the meeting and give him time to show up?
We can table it.
Move to table. Second.
All right, so we're gonna move the table by Dan, second by Bill. All right, we'll move on outside of county general.
Need a vote on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Other, 1161 Health First Indiana. 121 101 Public Health Nurse, negative 14,000. 122 101 Public Health Nurse, negative 37,333. 123 101 Health Educator, negative 43,333. 124 101 Health Educator, negative 28,167. $125,101, community health worker, negative $8,666. $126,101, environmental administration assistant, negative $9,000. $127,101, environmental health specialist, negative $7,000. $128,101, vital records assistant, negative $6,000. $171, FICA, negative $15,000. $172, perf, negative $30,000. $173, insurance, negative $50,000. $220, operating supplies, negative $5,000. $240, other supplies, negative $15,000. $221, operating supplies, fuel, negative $8,000. $311, contractual services, positive $368,998. $323, transportation, negative $5,000. $331, printing, negative $100,000. $341, liability insurance, negative $16,000. $324, communication, negative $5,000. $351, utility services, electric, negative $10,000. $352, utility services, gas, negative $3,000. $353, utility services, negative $3,500. $367, repairs and maintenance, building rehab, positive $25,000. $372, rental lease vehicle, negative $25,000. $393, conferences and training, negative $5,000. And $536, equipment, positive $55,000, for a total of $0.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. This was a really, a really long one. And I will let Matt kind of go over his notes that he sent out.
And Jamie did inform us that he couldn't be here today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, he has a conference to attend, and if you may have noticed, we have a lot of elected officials out today. It's our Association of Indiana Counties Council, statewide conference, so, he asked if that would be okay, and Finance Committee gave for approval because we took notes. So Matt?
So this is the Health First Indiana money, the new 1161 account. So for the salaries positions that they're pulling out that they weren't able to fill throughout the course of the year, they're moving that to equipment and contractuals for, the contractuals are primarily for new partnerships. So a lot of this Health First Indiana money is going to be used to get with the Ball States, the Open Doors, the other groups in Delaware County. They're going to be working with them and helping fund programs for things like diabetes, hypertension. There's one for a gun safety course. There's one for the Delaware County Prevention Council for suicide prevention, Purdue Extension, sleep safe courses, strengthening families, fall prevention, and nutrition. So all of that is going into new contracts that they are going to be working with these various entities on. There's also money going to the Tobacco Free Coalition for vaping education. They're working with Muncie Community Schools for an alternative to suspension for those that caught vaping. They get an education course. There's advertising for quitting vaping that's going into some of this. Relative to the equipment, the elevator in the building needs to be fixed. There's also new air conditioning going on in the second floor that currently doesn't work either. They're getting a little bit of signage for the first floor, and they're getting a new entrance, I believe, and so some signage for that entrance. And then there's also security cameras, an awning, updated lighting, security lighting, and I think he said MSD is putting in some sort of drug disposal box of some sort on the public health building. That in a nutshell is all of those transfers and where they're.
Isn't this a new account this year, correct?
It was last
year.
Last year, yeah. So he's still going through, learning things of how to budget correctly and getting contracts done correct.
Yeah, and and most of these contracts have been negotiated this year, so yeah.
not out of what was expected, is my point.
It's hard to expect anything when you've never done it before.
Exactly. We expect changes.
Well, appreciate your good note. You answered all my questions.
All right, do we have any additional questions?
I have a question,
Yep.
in regards to the money. Is this, this part of that?
This
or
is the
it-
part from the state.
Yeah, the state, the new state funding for public health, this was last year's money that he's still spending this year. And then they've got a new allotment for next year in that thing.
That's in our budget.
But it is all state money.
Public, like, no, what amount?
Next year's is 2 point something.
Okay, fine, over $2 million.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. And I did just hear back from Justin, and he said he'll see us next month, so we will just keep that tabled until next month.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. Guess we're over to appropriations now.
Starting off in county general, 153 commissioners, 173 health insurance, positive 300,000 for a total of 3.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so this is an additional 300,000 going into the health insurance line. It was discussed during budget that our 24 numbers for health insurance were wrong, so we're coming up short going into the end of the year. And we've made that adjustment into 25's budget, in our books during our budget process. So we are taking that into account moving forward, but this is needed to get us through. And I believe this should get us hopefully through the rest of the year.
And just for clarification, the commissioners, the health insurance line, that's for everyone, right?
Anyone who's paid out of that health insurance line, because there are some individuals who are paid out of health insurance from grants and different funds outside of county general. But if they fall in county general, then yes.
What I was getting at is typical, if there's an error, we say, can you find it somewhere in your budget? But they're shouldering the load for pretty much everybody, so it really wouldn't be fair for them to nitpick it out of their own budget, cover everybody's health.
And it's, I will say it is a little tricky because open enrollment doesn't start until after we close budgets. And so we kind of go off of an estimate or a guesstimate of what that increase is going to be year over year. And we've had some additional conversations about it during the budget process. I don't believe you were here that particular day, but like I said, what we're going to do in our 25 budget should prevent us from getting in a situation like this next year.
Yeah, it goes up. 2 things you can count on every year: utilities and health insurance.
Right. And postage,
Right.
your favorite.
Yeah, but we are 300,000 over this year, and we're raising it another 10% for next year. So the insurance, not just health insurance, but all of our liability insurance is up. Every insurance line item is up significantly year over year. So as we're desperately trying to find ways to pay humans, we're also struggling with the fact that we've got huge expense increases.
Agreed. We have Sarah on the phone too, if anyone has questions, right? Okay.
Yeah,
At the AIC.
Ryan made the comment, it's not written in stone that the department representative should be here, but it actually is written in our rules
Mm-hmm.
that the office holder, department head, or his or her designee shall attend the council meeting in person unless excused by the president or moratorium. We don't want to fall in the habit of
Right.
not.
So what are we doing with this one?
Oh, she's here.
We're
She's on the
counting a phone.
She's on, yeah, because I
Okay.
mean, they're at the AIC conference. I feel like that's, I mean, the fact that she actually is here to talk to us if we need her.
I mean, the
It's
whole
the same
point's
thing.
to answer questions, so.
Yeah,
as long
and
as
we
you
allow
answer
people to
questions.
call into finance committee too, if they can't physically be there, so.
I'm fine with it.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yeah.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Moving outside of county general.
VOCA 9116, 101, 101, Child Home and School Visitor 1, positive 103, 101, Child Home and School Visitor 3, positive 7,630. 171 FICA, positive 800. 175 Disability Insurance, positive 10, for a total of 8,050.
Make the motion to approve.
I will second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Do we have any questions on this?
I have one quick question.
Yep.
This is their money, correct?
This is outside of county general.
Okay,
Yep.
That's what I thought. And what was the, based off what we were talking about in the budgets as far as like, a little incentive for the counselors at home visitors that you have now?
No, Ashley Soldat, I'm the Delaware County Cost Director. No, this is just one of the grants that I have that hires I have 3 full-time employees right now, and the VOCA covers those salaries. And so I got a renewal. The cycle begins on October 1st, so this is just what I need to finish the year.
Gotcha, so it's just part of their salaries?
Yep, this is just salaries.
Okay, thank you.
For clarification, what's VOCA stand for?
VOCA is Victims of Crime. Yeah, it's a Victims of Crime grant.
All right, any additional questions?
Yes, you said this is to finish out this year, correct?
Yeah.
And the request is account.
Yeah,
Is
this is
there
a
more?
reimbursement grant.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan. Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
$49.10 EMS capital improvements, $550 other capital outlays, $56,443 for a total of $56,443.
Make the motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Do we have any questions for Mike? This is a re-chassis.
Previous.
All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mike, real quick, is this something that's on order, or is this something that has come in? I know you indicated from time to time that you had to order these and they were.
No, so once we're approved today, like this afternoon, I plan to sign the contract for this truck. So once I get the check, they'll purchase the chassis. We get a discount by purchasing it ahead of time. But the truck, that puts us in line to get the remount done.
And how long will all that take, please?
We go in next November. That's how far behind they are. So that's why I'm trying to get in line. So, but we save a little money by buying the chassis up front. So.
Thank
Yep,
you.
thanks.
All right, roll call, please. Oh, we already did that. All right, moving on.
4911 DC Fair and Expo, 351 Utility Services Electric, positive 16,000. 353 Utility Services Water, positive 6,000 for a total of 22.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Do we have any additional questions for the fair? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Coming, Donna. Thank you for coming.
All right, someone want to read the motion?
Motion to approve financial transfers and to amend salary ordinance with like reductions. Second?
Motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. I don't see a backfilling report. All right, Yeah, if you could do that real quick, we'll come back to that one. Make a note. All right, moving on to ordinance and resolutions. We have solar abatement moratorium ordinance for first reading at 2024-019. This was submitted to Ben to work on. Ben, would you like to explain this one for us?
Sure.
A little bit.
This
Well,
was-
it came up kind of quickly.
Yeah, so this primarily was, my understanding is that an ordinance that was introduced in Wells County, Indiana. A copy was sent to me by Councilman Webb, and he asked me to, essentially, it was a PDF. He asked me to convert it to a Word document and then make some changes to make it apply to Delaware County, and then give it a Delaware County ordinance number, which is what I did, and obviously put our county council members on the signature lines. And other than that, I didn't change anything, so I can't really speak for the content of the ordinance. I had no part in coming up with it or drafting.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to open up for first reading.
So moved.
So was that Eugene?
Second.
Motion by Eugene, second by Bill. All right, do we have any discussion on this? Sure we do.
I have a clarifying question. It reads, and Ben, I know this is not yours, so interpret as best you can. 1, 2, 3, fourth graph. The council acknowledges a prior and existing proposal for large-scale commercial solar energy generation, storage systems, and facilities receiving economic tax incentives, therefore, and that this ordinance shall not be deemed to impact, affect, delay, repeal, eject, or deny any abatements for any prior and existing proposal. That's just the identification, but I guess my question is, because then in the third graph, 1, 2, 3, 6th graph, the council believes that tax incentives for commercial solar development in the rural areas of the county should be prohibited. Rural areas of the county should be prohibited, subject to any comprehensive plan and or zoning ordinance. The fourth graph basically acknowledges large-scale solar, I would assume, in the entire county, not just the rural areas of the county. So I know specifically from speaking with a lot of different people, thank you, commercial solar could also include, theoretically, a solar field on a brownfield or a commercial space, steel and wire, the former plant out on Kilgore, things of that nature. Would this, in essence, also cover that?
Yes, because I think when you get down into the numbered paragraphs where it actually talks about what you're doing, which would be imposing a moratorium, the moratorium covers any commercial solar development. And it's worth noting this would only apply to abate that would for this council. Obviously, you wouldn't have the ability to prevent the city council from granting any kind of tax abate, which would probably be where it would go if it were on a brownfield.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Question?
Yep.
A couple thoughts. I do support this ordinance, and I thank Council Webb for bringing it forward. Strictly speaking, it may not be necessary because of the guidelines that Council adopted for tax abatements back in June. Under those guidelines, it'd be difficult to see how a large-scale solar project in an agricultural area could be approved. But that being said, there's certainly no harm in expressing our opinion regarding those types of tax abatements as stated in this ordinance. The other thing I wanted to say is to correct the record. I think is an appropriate time, at last month's meeting, I made the statement that I had not heard of the organization National Grid, which is the developer of the proposed, solar farm in the Royerton area. My memory failed me. I had received an email in May 16th, from the attorney, and she did identify the company as National Grid. When I realized that, I sent copies of that email correspondence to all the council members, so that they would be aware of it. I responded to her email, and that's the last I heard of it. And all she said in the email was that this was in the Royerton area. She didn't give me any further specifics than that, but I did want to correct the record that I misspoke when I said I had not ever heard of that name. But again, that being said, I do support the more.
Bill, have you received anything from them in writing recently?
Nothing.
I was contacted by, the lady from National Grid yesterday. There was an implication that there was some sort of economic plan or something else passed along to, did anybody receive anything like that in writing?
I received a phone call like you, but, nothing in writing, and
I think that was an email yesterday. I think I may have got an email yesterday too,
From them?
so.
Okay, because my statement to them was basically what I've said all along, which is economically speaking, I don't feel that commercial solar projects, which are being subsidized in other ways, need to be subsidized by the local county. There's no economic information that I've been able to receive. She referenced the Baker Tilly study of some sort that may be coming out, a new one. So I'd be happy to look at that. However, the previous, a new one.
That's what it was a Baker Tilly report, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that yet, so, and knowing what the previous one did for the abatements that were provided, were at a minimum misleading, and, if not, misleading to the point that we, the county, don't really receive any economic benefit outside of the economic development agreement number that was signed by the commissioners of a $2 million over 10 years, payment. So from a tax standpoint, we're not receiving it. The taxpayers of the surrounding areas receive potential tax breaks as part of that investment in a solar field, but we, the county, don't necessarily receive, because we're at our MAC levy, so we're not seeing any of those funds growing our county general fund to pay people and do other things. So to me, and it's also, from an abatement standpoint, they're not really creating any jobs. And so that too was a factor. So my statement back to them was basically, I too support the defense in theory. Completely convinced that we need it, like Bill, but at the same time, I would be a hypocrite to say otherwise. But I also feel that we aren't, tolerating it at this point, but that could change. So it would be something that would help with that.
Go ahead, Jim.
I feel like it's appropriate, for the council, could we, vote in favor of this to at least, even though we have publicly said, I think some of us have publicly said and stated that, the abatement are not something that we're necessarily in favor of at this particular point in time. I feel like it's appropriate to reach out to those people that might want to have, and might want to come before us for abatements to clarify in advance that, if approved, this council, is not going to entertain, abatements.
One other quick point of clarity from the conversation was that there's apparently supposed to be a workshop of sort for public officials, October 15th, that they requested we attend. I, of course, support to do that. I do think that we need to hear all sides to this equation. We don't hear a lot of supporters, come before us, not direct supporters, people who have signed leases for land, things of that nature. I've not heard from very many, if at all, really, actually. And so they're pulling together some workshop of some sort on the 15th, I believe is what you said. And I did offer to attend.
One thing that, one of the previous meetings we had with solar people was that, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, if somebody is smarter than me, was that they had to basically have the land leased to go talk to the power company to make sure they could do it, come back to see us for the abatement. And I think this let them know that, you know, gives them a warning about maybe not making sure that they can do it on their own without our abatement.
I think, the two previous abatements, Brian was here during that time, and we've learned a lot since then. And when we had the discussions back at maybe in the spring,
Mhm.
about abatements, I think it was pretty clear that all of us up here on this bench weren't necessarily in favor of seeing any kind of solar abatement moving forward. I received some emails and some phone calls, and I've talked to some people, so I want to just clarify this for like the record too. 'Cause some of the emails I received alluded to this changing the solar ordinance. This doesn't do anything to change the solar ordinance, not a thing. Solar ordinance is not our authority. You would want to still go talk to the plan commission and your commissioners about that. So this is nothing except for a solar abatement. And to be, in the spirit of transparency and reality, it does not necessarily stop a solar company from coming to our community. We all know now they don't need those extra monies from us. Like Matt was saying, they get federal monies and such. So it doesn't stop it. And then also too, just a reminder that, that this is a decision this council is making, but it can be rescinded just like any other ordinance at any other time. So just for some kind of make everyone aware of what this is actually doing, and what it doesn't do. I wanted to make sure I clarified that because I know I sent some emails back and forth and had some phone calls, and just want to clear up some misunderstandings. So hopefully that does that. Do we have anything else from council?
Yeah, I'd like to add a couple things.
Sure.
So I appreciate Councilmember Hughes and Kent's support for the ordinance. Real quick before I go any further, the main part that I was hoping to get with this is section 3 says the council imposes a indefinite moratorium on the filing, the processing, the review, the consideration, and the granting of all applications for tax abatement and other subsidies that relate to large-scale commercial solar or other alternative energy generation, storage systems, or facilities. This includes carbon capture, storage in the ground. This includes industrial solar. This includes all those things that keep you up late at night if you're someone who's concerned about this coming in your neighborhood or across the street from your home you've lived, for decades or so. I was just kicking around this idea for a couple months, and I think a month or two ago, the commissioners, they implemented their own moratorium. So I thought, okay, well, it's probably not necessary. Maybe we'll just let this go. We got a moratorium. But then something very important happened. There was an email release. I believe Councilmember Hughes released the email from his communication with the attorney for the solar company. And she made it very clear in that email that she had every intentions of filing for a tax abatement for that solar farm in the fall when their, I think it was a 90-day notice expired or something along those lines. But they made it clear they were going to file in the fall. That's why the urgency kicked into high gear. That's why this kind of come up suddenly, because it went from, okay, I don't think we need it, to not only do we need it now. We need to get this in place before this is filed, and I'll tell you why. This council's made tremendous efforts in the past to ensure that we're not put in a situation of spending taxpayer money on litigation. Even if we're in the right, even in a case we'll win, we'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I feel like this type of situation could come about without an abatement such as this. Give an example. I believe it was Bartholomew County. They had a very similar situation as to ours. They were considering allowing solar to come in. The only thing they did different than us is we had already passed the abatement and we were considering rescinding it. They never even passed it. They just considered it like any normal county would, and they decided it wasn't for them. Well, that solar company sued them just because they said no, not in our community. And now they're on the hook for thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars defending their county for exercising their right to say no to industrial solar. What this ordinance does is it stops the filing and consideration of. So it stops it before it even gets started. No one can sue us because we've not even looked at your application to deny it. That's why I think this is an important ordinance. And I'll go one step further, and I hope we have the support of the council. I would like to gauge loosely off the record. Well, everything's on the record here, but I would be interested to the appetite of the council to suspend the rules to adopt this today and forego the second reading. And see what kind of feedback we have from members of the council on that.
I have a question. So from Ben, Councilman Webb saying that we could not be sued if we put this in place. Is that valid or?
I always tell everybody, you can be
we
sued
can
at any
always be
time
sued.
for any reason, so.
No, it's not like we can't, it doesn't
Sure.
stop it.
And that's a good point. You're right. And we can all be sued at any point. What this primarily does is this sends a message to the solar, and Jessica mentioned it earlier. Look, they don't need the abatement. The abatement is just a cherry on top, right? This is more of a message that we're not interested. There's 91 other counties in this community. Go see one of them. It's not supported here in Delaware County. We have an abatement in place for a reason, and the message is not interested. No, thank you. The red carpet is rolled up. We're open to all sorts of business. Industrial solar is, in my opinion.
I would believe that this ordinance is valid, enforceable, and within our authority, otherwise I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the fact remains, we can be sued for anything, but the reality of, even if an application was made with, and we disallowed it, that's within our authority too. So, we're not gonna be sued for telling them they don't get a tax abatement. That would be my, estimation, based on it. The fact that we approved an abatement previously, not we, but, previous council approved the abatement was the reason for the threat, not so much if they can't get through the process, they're not gonna get through the process. They're not gonna litigate on that.
Well, they're doing it in Bartholomew County right now for that exact thing. For
I
that
don't
exact thing.
know the details of that, but, happy to look into that. But relative to your question, Ryan, I know people want this to be done immediately. I don't think in good faith that's something I'm comfortable doing. Primarily, I did just receive from Jessica this estimated Baker Tilly report for the proposed solar, which I would like to review. I think it's very similar to the ones that we saw before. And, making sure that we're doing our due diligence, just as to say that we did. I mean, I've read the ordinance, it's only a couple days old. So, I mean, I know that doesn't please many people to say that we're gonna not shortcut it, but I they wouldn't want me shortcutting them either if the opposite was true. So for me personally, I'm not in favor of suspending the rules and then taking this up and doing our second reading and approving it next month would be the typical process, right?
Mhm.
That's just my opinion.
And for those who are interested in that, that would take unanimous council approval to suspend the rules to do that. So Councilmember Cant is suggesting that that's not something that he would want to rush through. And we'll proceed like we originally planned with the first reading, and then next month be the second reading if it passes today.
Eugene?
I mean, Councilman Cant covered everything I was going to say. I don't want to rush through this either. I am in support of the ordinance. I want to give it due diligence. I mean, the ink is barely dried on it. I want to make sure that council's read through it well. If there's any questions, that I would like to see it on our agenda for next month, going on at 10.
Do we have any other statements or comments on this one?
I would just say one more comment, and typically the room is packed with people who are against this, against the solar, industrial solar. To Eugene and Matt's point, I guess it would be, in all fairness, we have to give the people who are in favor of an opportunity to show up and express their desires to continue forward with it. So, if you're watching, attend next month's meeting if it's something that you want to continue.
And that's only only pertaining to tax abatements.
Mhm.
If you have concerns for or against industrial solar, the plan commission and the commissioners who you want to talk to about those things. We have absolutely no authority over the ordinance itself. This ordinance is simply for the tax abatement process. With that, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes. I'll look for the
Mr.
investment.
Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, let's hop back up to the backfilling report.
To take it off the table?
I don't think we took it on the table. I think we just skipped it.
We didn't table it?
Correct.
Oh, that's right, we did.
Second reading, right?
Oh, no.
This is just the backfilling
Just the
report.
backfilling, that is correct. We did
Tabled the transfer for
table
extension.
transfer,
Yes.
yes. Motion to receive the backfill report. Second.
All right, motion by Bill, second by Dan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, appointments and committee reports. I don't have anything that I'm aware of right now, unless someone else has anything. I do want to remind, council and auditor's office and anyone else who's interested that for our new rules that we had set in place for this year, we will be taking a look and going through all of our open board appointments for next year at next month's meeting. So we'll need the auditor's office to help pull what those current openings are going to be for next year. We'll get those advertised and then we'll be voting on those. I believe it's our December meeting that we make those decisions. So kind of keep that in mind. Those will be coming to you soon. I think we have some board appointments that are annual and others that are on different 2, 3-year, 4-year terms. So those will all be broadcast at our next meeting.
Don't we have a couple that we need to do the next meeting because they start earlier?
I don't think so.
And for the,
If we do, they haven't talked to me.
Auditor's office will let us know.
Yes.
and for those of you who are maybe new to government, who showed up because government has now come into your lives, these are those board and committee appointments that some of you have reached out and asked, how do you get involved with that? What President Piper is saying is this is how you get involved. We're gonna announce the list, you put your name on it, and we consider who to appoint to it. So if you wanna get involved in the community, this is an excellent way to do so.
All right, under old business, we have tabled our job description 2024-15 for a second reading. Don't know if anyone wants to take that off the table, but Ben did make the changes we requested last month. And that was their effective date, right?
Yes, I think it was perhaps Councilman Whitehead that has suggested, although I'm not sure it was moved and voted on, but I prepared one anyway, just in case you decided to do that today. An amended version. The only change was that the ordinance would be effective January 1, 2025. Otherwise, it's the same ordinance as previously presented.
I move to remove ordinance 2024-015 from the table for purpose of final adoption.
Second.
Go ahead, Mr. Whitehead.
All right, motion by Bill, second by Eugene. Do we have any additional discussion?
I do, or I have a question, I mean,
To remove from the table, you need to,
Oh, roll call?
Sorry.
Okay, roll call,
and
please.
then,
Okay.
Mr. Flanagan,
yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, now our discussion.
as Bill has indicated previously, obviously these job descriptions are a work in progress, so I, like many others, probably, feel like, we haven't quite tied off 100% of the, particularly the FLSA components, relative to exclusion, primarily. I know we've got the discussion around chief deputies and such, so, but at the same time, I think we're just kicking the can down the road when we need to get these in place, and work through the process of altering them as needed. That process, however, Bill, really we haven't really,
That's the
Yeah.
second ordinance.
yeah, we outlined it in that second ordinance for the classifications and such. But the process has not completely been determined, so if we adopt this, we're adopting what's written as is in the descriptions that have sit with the HR today. And we, in essence, I guess, have a few, because it's not till January 1st, we have a few months to work through and get these, altered. Am I stating that right?
That's my thing.
I agree with that.
I think that the, department heads need to go through it line by line again and have a discussion with HR and us to get any discrepancies fixed in the next couple months.
I'm gonna share the same concerns I've shared each time this has been brought up. I think there are flaws in this, job description. I know there's been at least, on my count, 3 separate department heads who have shared considerable concerns, that the job description doesn't accurately reflect their employees and their job responsibilities. Furthermore, as was mentioned, I think by Councilmember Camp, what are we in September? We still have October, November, and December. I just cannot wrap my head around why we would approve it if it's not ready and then work on it after the fact. If it doesn't take place till January 1st, why can't we continue working on it through these months, and then when it's completed, then approve it? It just seems like we're putting the cart before the horse.
Well,
I know you've worked hard on it. I don't want to discount what you've done.
and this is step one, and we have another step still to go, and we haven't even started that one, which is the actual classifications with the rates, which we're working through on the budget, but we have yet to actually adopt. So,
But we're working on the budget with the assumption that this is what's going to be in place with some tweaks. We know, like Matt's point earlier, like we're going to still have, it's a living document. It'll be tweaked.
so, I mean, I don't disagree with you, Ryan. You're not wrong. I've heard the same concerns, and there is work to be done. It's never going to be over. It's not going to be over by January. It's not going to be over by the next part of the next year when things start to really work themselves out, or people get replaced and they realize the job description isn't right, et cetera. So, again, I think we're just kicking the can down the road here. We gotta get this over with so we can move on to the next thing, and then work through it as we go. If this is where everyone is wanting us to go with, is the road we're heading down. So,
In my mind, the reason for doing it now is that on October 3rd, we're going to adopt our budget for 2025. And the budget and these job descriptions are now, if not completely tied together, they're closely related. We've been looking back and forth between the salary study and the budget, trying to align the two, and which I think is what we should be doing. But I'd rather have these job descriptions, have a commitment to these job descriptions now rather than, as Pat said, kick it down the road.
All right, any further discussion?
Okay, now you need a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-015 as amended to make it effective January 1st, 2025.
The motion.
That was a motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Bill, second by Eugene, for a motion as amended. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
No,
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Mr. Cant,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
All right, thank you for that.
Put department heads on notice that they need to try to get this straightened out in January, please.
Well, and it's gonna be a living document, so there's just, I mean, it's going to be straightened out
Yeah,
often, but yeah,
often, but
like, if we can
yes.
get it done by January.
But I know, as to Ryan's point, there were several that have major concerns they need to,
Well, and some of those we already addressed during, I mean, Ryan's missed some of our meetings, so like,
I
We-
admit that, but
we've got Tommy as a superintendent in a different role, salary position, like there are some things we've already worked out. We adjusted someone in EMA for the FLSA, so we've done some of that,
But-
not all of it, but.
I just got an email from 911 director last night pleading with us to think that his concerns was that it was incorrect.
All right,
he's gonna
So in new business, right before the meeting, we met with Pam with HR. I don't know, Pam, you wanna, or Colleen, you're here. So, the Plan Commission, has a request of us, so if you'd like to just share that with us and.
Good morning, Eileen Swackhammer from the Plan Commission. So I'm here to discuss the salary rate for the, principal planner position. So just a little bit of background, the principal planner is one of two positions, that make up the Muncie and Delaware County MPO. So the MPO is required, an MPO is required for any urbanized area that has at least 50,000 people. So we are required to have an MPO. So this is an important position in our office. The salary for this position is 100% of their time is spent on transportation. So the salary is 80% reimbursable from the state. This position has sat open all year so far in 2024. So the line item that is salary for that position has not been moved, used, anything, excuse me. So what I'm asking, the current rate for that position is $35,925. The leveling rate that was discussed at the, budget hearings was 41,800. What I'm wanting to ask today is to see if I could hire someone for that position and pay them at that leveling rate for the remainder of the money is there. We would not be asking for any money. We are asking to pay at a different rate than what is currently listed and use the money that is in that line item.
So prior to the meeting, Matt and I were discussing this and we pulled Bill in. So Bill, do you want to share your thoughts on?
This is not a transfer or an appropriation. As Eileen said, the money is there. I thought it ought to come before the council though, because you could envision a circumstance where a position goes unfilled until December, and then the department head wants to just pay all that money to a new person. So we would not want that to happen. So although I don't recall an instance in which we have been asked to approve a specific rate other than budget for it, I thought it would be appropriate for the council to consider this and hopefully approve it.
And to be clear, sorry,
And I would make the motion to approve paying the principal planner at the 41,800 rate, beginning with a new hire.
second.
We have a motion by Bill, second by Matt. Do we have any further discussion on this?
Well, just to be clear, Colleen, explain the situation with the hiring as well. So this is you're trying to hire this person, they've got other offers where they're willing to accept the job at this rate, knowing that that's the rate going to be, approved for next year. That's the challenge here, correct?
Yeah, I thought this would be, warranted in order to get I have a qualified applicant that has applied. I would like to offer her this. I have not discussed this with her specifically. I said, I am working, we'll let you know what the final number will. But I do know she has other offers, so she is comparing different things. So yeah, that is, I am trying to get this qualified.
So did I hear that right? The council's already agreed to pay that rate starting January 1 for that position?
Well, that's where we are right now in the budget process. So I don't, do you listen in at all?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, so for how we left at our last meeting, for the most part, we went with the internal leveling for everyone. So that if anyone who was a Pat A is paid the same hourly rate as any other Pat A, unless they were already making more and we've frozen those salaries. We're not gonna cut anyone's salary, right? And so that's where we're headed, which, since you'll be here today, we'll be able to you'll get a better understanding of kind of where we are with that. But that's how we've ended it.
Well, I mean, if everybody feels comfortable that that's where we're gonna be, I don't really see any objection to getting started with it now, if to help fill the position. You said it's been open all year?
For clarification, we're voting to allow this salary increase. Yeah,
Seems pretty normal to me.
Yeah, it was, Brian, it was my previous position before I went direct in January, so.
Your role position. Okay.
All right, do we have any additional discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to elected officials and department heads. Do we have anyone here who'd wish to speak? Sheriff?
Good morning, Sheriff Tony Skinner. In the budget hearing, and I apologize because I didn't get on the agenda, but in the budget hearings, we were talking, about vehicle lines 1, and a couple of weeks ago, it's probably been a month ago, we realized, the sheriff's office, that we desperately needed a transport van. Community Corrections has a van. It's a 2019 Ford XL 350. It's already got a cage in it. It's got about 8,900 miles, and they have went through the process with their board and agreed to sell that to us. The estimates came in on the van. One estimate from or one evaluation from NADA values the van retail at $43,900. JD Power's estimate was $43,450. Hubler Ford estimated it at $41,000. Keep in mind the van has it's 8,600 miles, and Community Corrections has agreed to sell that to us for $40,000 flat. So I'm coming with my handout today, trying to seek an appropriation to pay for that van. Like I said, we desperately need it. We didn't realize how hard it is to go find transport vans right now. You just can't get your hands on one. Our office right now is doing approximately 10,000 miles a month in transports. That's for our local inmates, and the federal inmates. So I'm asking you for the $40,000, to purchase that van.
Can we take the 52K out of next year's?
No.
Didn't hurt to ask.
Just
So that's why I'm
clarification.
up here, because it doesn't hurt to ask.
That's
Right.
right.
So for an appropriation, it has to be advertised, right?
Okay.
Operating balance is currently at $7,001,000 with 3 months to go.
So what
Yep, put it
what
on
would we
next
do? We'd have to get it on the agenda for next month?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you to do that now then.
Special meeting.
Or a special meeting with,
We don't need to call a special meeting.
well, we're adopting the budget on October 3rd. We could call the special meeting at the closure of budget adoption if you get it turned in.
You don't have
Okay.
enough.
We don't have enough time? Okay, never mind. We'll see you next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
said 86,000 miles,
8,600.
8,600 miles?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's like, it's had one oil change,
I know,
practically brand new.
when Fred was looking to get something, we couldn't get a vote, but he was looking for a position of understanding that he could go to the people he was talking to. So when you do show back up next month, I'd be in favor of it.
When I
hold
do
your
that,
van.
I will have those estimates printed out for you so you can see them for yourself. But, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff.
Any other department heads, elected officials? Coroner?
Gavin Green, Delaware County Coroner. Sorry again, about I don't have the report to send to you this month. Kind of busy. One of our office staff is on leave right now. We currently have 613 cases Delaware County Coroner's Office has. We're trending high. Last month I came back and said we were low. I think I jinxed us because that weekend we had 13 cases and we had 8 autopsies. And that was just over a weekend. So we're trending to now, if it goes that way. It's a non-coroner's case, meaning we're not going to do any autopsies, but we still have our part-time and our full-time still taking on cases. And we're going to be trending about 700 now. I thought we were going to be in the high 500s, But if we're getting a lot of those non-autopsies, it's actually trending up right now. So that is where we are at. Questions? Sir? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any others? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. We've got a few people here on the list today, per usual. Make sure you state your name, and then we will give you approximately 3 minutes. Ben, will you time that for me? Up first, we have Autumn Grismore.
Good morning, Autumn Grismore. I live in Creekwood, which is very, very close to the proposed Royerton Solar Farm. And I do want to say thank you for waiting for that second reading on the ordinance. I do appreciate that. You're right. If this were something that we were in opposition to, I would want that to be the due diligence done as well. So I just wanted to say that industrial solar as an economic development is simply put not economic development for our community. The economic benefits that these companies are trying to make us believe in is not new money. They fail to mention and do not want us to realize what economic benefits the project will displace. The land has already been developed and it is prime farmland. What is being lost by taking prime farmland out of agricultural production for 35 years, and honestly, quite possibly forever. Industrial solar projects are displacing an existing economic producing industry, and the payments to landowners are not new, but simply replace the lost benefits from the agricultural activity. Farming has an economic multiplier effect, meaning it actively spends and supports other businesses in our community and across. These industrial solar projects will be passive economic business actors with minimal new jobs created. They stated in our little flyer, 2 to 3 local jobs created. 2 to 3. And there is no multiplier effect for these industrial solar farms. The economic benefit will be less than what is currently being generated. I want to leave you with this one Indiana agricultural fact. Indiana is one of 3 states with over 50% of its land designated as prime farmland, defined as land that has the best combination of physical and chemical characteristics for producing food, feed, forage, fiber, and oilseed crops, and at the highest yields possible. It is the best land in our nation. So I'm going to leave you with this. It is our responsibility to be good stewards of the land that was given to us for future generations to use. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Doug Marshall.
Good morning, my name is Doug Marshall, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to express my opposition to the development of large-scale solar farms on farmland, particularly with respect to the impact this will have on their neighboring property values, as well as the issue of tax abatement for solar companies. First, I urge you to consider the detrimental effects solar farms can have on property values in nearby areas. Farmland is a vital part of our community, contributing to the rural charm and open spaces that define our way of life. When large solar arrays are installed, the character of the area changes dramatically. The industrial appearance of massive fields of solar panels not only disrupts the beauty of the landscape, but also can lower the value of neighboring properties. Homeowners who live nearby may see their property values drop as these developments make the area less attractive to potential buyers. This decline in property value is unfair to those who have invested in homes and land, and it could also lead to reduced tax revenues for the county in the long term, further burdening local taxpayers. Second, providing tax abatements to large solar companies only compounds this issue. These corporations already have significant financial resources, and offering them tax breaks shifts the burden onto local residents and small businesses. In the long run, tax abatements for solar companies will reduce revenue for our county. Solar companies should not be allowed to come in, profit off our land, and then leave local residents to pick up the tab. It's crucial that we protect our farmland, preserving the value of neighboring properties, and ensure that our community is not left carrying the financial burden of these projects. I urge the council to reconsider allowing solar farms on farmland and to deny tax abatement for these companies. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next up is Chris Music.
My name is Chris Music. I live in the historic Meeks neighborhood. Many voters in Delaware County still feel the sting from the black eye the insurrection gave our democracy. It is important for any persons participating in the riots and who are running for public office to explain to the voters of Delaware County their intentions and actions on January 6, 2021. Mr. Stephen Brand is running for Delaware County Commissioner.
Excuse me, this isn't a political forum.
This is an open time when I can give a presentation about what I want to talk about. Mr. Brand is running for County Commissioner, one of the
Mr.
highest
Music,
political
Mr.
offices
Music,
in the
this is
county.
not a forum for political discussion.
I'm asking
Council
for
meeting.
Mr. Brand to talk to the voters about his participation in the insurrection and if the 650 guns that
That
he
is a
had
conversation you
confiscated
can have with
are in
this
any way
candidate
related to
outside
that
of our
insurrection.
meeting.
And
Mr.
this is
Music,
something
not
that
the
he
forum for
is
it.
refusing to participate in
Before-
any political discussions or forums about his acts and roles in that insurrection. It's anti-democratic.
All right. Next up is Ron Crouch.
You follow that, Ron?
Good morning, everyone,
Morning.
and thank you for allowing me to be here. I've had the privilege of speaking to a couple different, councilmen. I'm not gonna mention names because they're friends and I'm allowed to have private conversations, but I want to thank them for taking the time to conversate with me regarding this solar that Ryan has, proposed. And I want to personally thank Ryan for proposing it. And I want to thank those councilmen that took the time to talk to me and listen to me and hear me. And I commend them for taking the time to do that. I received a letter in the mail 2 weeks ago. And it's a company wanting to buy my property that I just moved in May. I just moved in May. And 23 days after I moved in, I get a letter that they're wanting to surround my property in solar. And the man wants to buy my property. And he offered me $4,200 an acre. I paid $14,200 an acre. So I took the liberty of calling him to be a smartass to say, you're offering me $10,000 less than what I paid for it. So I'm asking you for $24,000. I want $10,000 more than I paid for it. And he made the comment, I know there's solar going in the areas. I know a lot of people are thinking about leaving. And we've now got these companies parading on people in the Rorton area wanting to buy their property because they know what's coming. They know that it's going to drop values. Real estate agents can tell what a home's worth if it's got one bathroom, but unfortunately, they're telling us they can't tell if we're going to lose property values with a solar field. We absolutely will lose property values. If I want to build a shed on my property in Delaware County, I have to ask for permission and get a variance if it's close to the property line because that could impede on the neighbor. This definitely impedes on us. This solar impedes on us very much so. I listened to I've attended many of the council meetings and commissioners meetings, and I listened to the commissioners meeting last month, or this last commissioners meeting. And I listened to a lady on North High Street, 8 miles away from where these solar are going, and she's for it. She's probably never even driven down that road before. She doesn't live there, and it's not going to be surrounded in her backyard. Yet, if solar was going to be put in the city of Muncie, me living in Delaware County, I don't have a say-so. But we have people within the city of Muncie showing up at our county commissioners meeting for solar. I've not seen a single person in the past 3 months since this has arose that lives in our area, the people that are affected by it,
stand up here and say, I want solar, I want you to vote for solar. I've not seen this room full of anybody that wants solar. Everybody here does not want it, for the most part. I've had an average of 60 to 70 people meet up in my barn monthly that's opposing this. I have 60 to 70 sitting in my barn right now streaming what's going on in here. Several of them are from many counties all over Indiana because they've got word that Delaware County.
Croucher at 3.
Number one, I want to thank Stephen Brand for always attending our meetings and being supportive of us, and we thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Up next, we have Mike Johnson.
My name is Mike Johnson. I live on 200 West, 11701 North County Road, 200 West, in the neighborhood of the proposed solar project, which I am totally against. I want to thank the county commissioners, also the county council, for opening the discussion and working on the abatements and doing what you're trying to do to stop this solar, industrial solar, to stop the filing. I'm not interested, and I want to also compound on what Ron Crouch said, that you have people here showing up that are against this. I haven't seen anybody stand up and say they're for this. It's like they're in hiding. They don't want to come out because they're in hiding. The old saying is there's a place for everything and everything in its place. This is not the place for this. Out in the middle of the desert somewhere is probably the place for this, where there's no residential areas, where there's no houses around. Property values are going to drop. This used to be considered the Rust Belt. Remember the 70s, the Rust Belt? Layoffs, automotive industry in trouble, layoffs, the economy was terrible. I remember living through that because my dad and my family suffered through that. This will become a solar belt. Property values are going to plummet. Quality of life's going to plummet. And this will be one big total mess. Automated, good reference to the amount of employees that would be hired for this. 2 to 3, I believe. I read the same fact. 2 to 3 people. How many employees do the farmers have around here that they hire to till the ground, combine in the fall? They employ several people. They employ several people and they support a lot of businesses with the things they have to buy. Reynolds Farm Equipment, for example. Drones. Late last year, my wife told me that there was a drone flying around our house, out in front of the house. We discussed it, and I said, well, maybe one of the kids in the neighborhood got a drone for his birthday or something. He's flying it around. Ron Crouch made the comment that he had drones flying around his house. And then I just had one probably a couple months ago before this all came about. Now I know what that's about. Drones flying around, checking out our houses, checking out our housing value. You know, it's just crazy. Late last year, I was coming down 200 West. There was a white truck out there. There were people out there walking around in the field. I stopped and I said, hey, I'm just kind of nosy, you know, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're looking for artifacts. I said, artifacts? Like arrowheads, Indian artifacts, pottery, things like that? Yeah. I said, well, did you find anything? Well, we found a few. I said, well, come on down to my property. We'll look around, find something there.
You're at your 3 minutes. If you want to wrap up that thought.
All right. So that was my thought, where they're being sneaky about this. They're being sneaky about it, and they know why they're being sneaky about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and then we have Janet Gurnan. Did I say it right? Did I do it right this time? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Janet Gurnan, and I reside in Mount Pleasant Township. I appreciate the opportunity to have my voice heard at today's meeting. Alex Epstein is considered one of the nation's experts on renewable energy. He just spoke before Congress and said, so let's talk about the costs so far of government dictated green energy. All the energy-related problems we have experienced in recent years, which have been a lot, high gasoline prices, higher heating bills, higher electricity bills, and unreliable electricity, which is a huge problem we need to talk much more about, are the result of government-dictated green energy. Furthermore, in 2022, the Reduction in Inflation Act gave $369 billion to renewable energy projects. Then just a few weeks ago, the Biden administration announced another $7.3 billion given to the renewable agenda. These developers are already heavily subsidized by our tax dollars. They do not need one more penny of our hard-earned tax dollars. This needs to stop. I have to pay taxes and everyone here has to pay their fair share of taxes. Our county needs these tax dollars and it shouldn't be given away to renewable companies that already receive more than enough. Because of this, our utility bills have increased exponentially. I'm asking the elected officials to do the right thing and put an end to these handouts and make the solar developers pay their fair share of taxes. Thank you so much for listening to the concerns of tax-paying citizens.
Thank you. All right, Matt has a couple that were emailed to him.
The first one's from Tim Nickum. I cannot attend this morning's meeting, so I'm writing this email to you and your fellow council members to vote for the moratorium on all future tax abatements for utility scale solar developments. The people who live in the areas of these proposed solar plants, country residents, overwhelmingly do not want to be surrounded by thousands of acres of blight. Delaware County must send a strong message to these companies that they are not welcome here. Thank you. And then I have one more from Vicky Gassaway. Dear Delaware County Council, apologies I'm unable to attend this meeting in person. I wanted to share some valuable information in regards to solar energy in Indiana. Recently, I attended the Agri-Institute, Smart Choices, Land Energy Food Conference, and listened to many experts in the field of agricultural and energy production use. Delaware County is in the PJM grid, but most of the state of Indiana is in the MISO grid. MISO and PJM are currently working together to increase energy capabilities in between the two regions. Mark Kaiser, Director of External Affairs for the Central Region of MISO Grid, stated that in approximately 20 years, large-scale solar systems would be non-existent and replaced with SMRs, small modular reactors. Small modular reactors are advanced nuclear reactors. Mr. Kaiser explained the challenges with industrial solar in the Midwest is that all of the energy being produced at the same time, give or take an hour or two. The energy being produced by solar loads the grid system at the same time. This solar ramp is loading the grid during less demand time. The peak demand time for energy use is 5 to 7 p.m. Mr. Kaiser explained that it's very expensive to store energy and that the technology to move electrons is only around 200 miles. That means industrial batteries must be built near the industrial solar systems. Solar energy is being stored in battery energy storage systems, aka BESS plants. BESS plants do help regulate the unreliable energy produced from solar and wind generation, but according to Mr. Kaiser, the storage is only 4 hours at best. Valid concerns around BESS units is potential for thermal runaway, which can cause explosion and fires. According to 2 local fire chiefs, our fire departments are not equipped to extinguish these fires and cannot imagine the financial and environmental impact if one of these fires happened. According to the PJM website, there are already 2 BESS systems in Delaware County, with 5 more to be constructed near proposed solar sites. Every time you approve an abatement for industrial solar, you're opening the doors for more BESS systems in Delaware County. On September 13th, 4 regional grid transmission organizations filed an amicus brief to the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. challenging the U.S. EPA's regulations on carbon dioxide emissions from existing coal and new natural gas power plants, and the court remand the rules back to the EPA. In the brief, the regional transmission argued that EPA rules would jeopardize Americans' ability to reliably secure sufficient amounts of power if they are enforced as is, despite claims by the Biden-Harris admin that the regulations would improve public health without disrupting the delivery of reliable electricity. The organizations in charge of our grid have found that wind and solar inevitably underperformed EPA's expectations, and we Americans should brace for widespread rolling blackout. I'm sure we're up to 3 minutes. My family has farmed in the region since the 1800s. Our farmland is currently centrally located in Delaware County with a substation at the west end and a substation at the east end, and overhead transmission lines running through it. My family has been approached by many renewable energy companies, and thankfully my family has said no. But as abatements are issued, To these private renewable companies, we're allowing foreign countries to take over our most valuable renewable resource, our farmland.
All right, do we have anyone else from the public?
I was gonna sign the wrong piece of paper. Or I was third on the line, I thought.
I went down the road.
Okay, sorry, that's my bad. I signed the
I
wrong
always
piece.
ask if there's anyone else,
Yeah,
so I
you're
don't
good.
leave
I knew
anyone
you would.
out.
All right, my name's Steven. Thanks for hearing me today.
I'm sorry.
Hines. I went about it a little bit different than them. Yesterday I spent 2.5 hours adding up a bunch of companies in Delaware County because I knew that a problem for you guys on all this is, illegal, and you guys, a legal problem, and you guys already addressed that. And then you think that we might not be viewed as business friendly. So I added up a lot of businesses and the acreage via a beacon and how much acreage use they use. And so if I could just read down this, just don't fall asleep on me. Canpack is 139 acres, Magna, both buildings, 62 acres, Progress Rail and all the land around it, 262 acres, Midwest Metals to both buildings is 21 acres, Exide, both sides of the road is 70 acres, YOC is 25 acres, Mercix 19 acres, Save a Lot 30 acres, Menards 25 acres, Meyer 38 acres, Walmart North 18 acres, Walmart South 29 acres, Lowe's 11 acres, Rural King 7 acres, Navient 11.5 acres, Kaheen 20 acres, Hillcroft 15 acres, PeerTech 16.5 acres, Indiana Bridge 12 acres, Magnuson 13 acres, Ball Memorial Hospital 30 acres. I even added in the old Chevy plant 55 acres and the old Borg Warner plant 95 acres. That comes to 1,024 acres. I also went and did some research on how big Ball State University is, and I got two different sources and two answers, but it's really close. 1,282 acres and 1,140 acres, and they both claimed that it was 731 acres for the main campus and then 400 plus acres in research property. So our project, the Gaston project, they're proposing 1,200 acres, just like the Gaston one, okay? And so you can imagine how many jobs those businesses create. It's in thousands, I guarantee it. This Rorton project, they gave us a piece of paper, this is their words, not mine. 200 construction job, which will go away as soon as it's built. And then at the end of that, for the next 20 plus years, it'll be 2 or 3 full-time jobs. And I think that's unacceptable. I also wanted to bring up your guys' tax abatement guidelines, and you guys already brought it up a little bit that the tax abatement for solar already wouldn't meet most of these, but I want to bring your attention to number 3, the number of jobs retained and or created within the local workforce relative to the amount of the investment will be a paramount consideration. And so I think I've just proven that they wouldn't even meet these guidelines, the current guidelines. But I think that it's important to go ahead and do this, this moratorium. And that way, because you guys might not be here sometime in the next council, it'll at least put a piece of red tape in front of them, and it'll be something that they have to think about. All right, so thank you.
Thank you. And Stephen, I do apologize. I totally checked you off before.
Okay.
I
I
you
thought
were
I
on
signed a
here.
piece
You're
of paper
right.
somewhere.
You're right.
Thank you.
I got ahead of myself. I apologize. Anyone else? Got one more. All right.
My name is Mallory, and I still oppose all of it. I just want everyone to take a look at that symbol right there of that plow. And if we bring that here, we might as well put a solar panel on there for the amount of acres they are trying to steal from our farmland. I mean, it's further than just this company. It's their shareholders. Follow the money. These are big corporations that are trying to consume and leave us with crumbs. We matter. And I want you to just think about, how can I represent you, not how I will represent you. Like, you need to represent us. And we're pretty much yelling at you. We oppose this. And now is the time to act, to put in stops, and to make it very difficult to the point where maybe they don't even want to come here because it's too much red tape. So I think you guys are listening. I appreciate that, because I felt like these companies were just coming in and being snakes in the grass, and they were approaching people, and people were pretending like that wasn't happening. But I think a lot more is coming to light, and if we shine a light on this at every meeting, then eventually something's going to change. So that's all that I have.
Thank you. Comments from council? I guess, well, last time, what, anyone else? Third time's a charm, right? Okay, comments from council. Do we have any?
I have a quick one. So I got a couple texts from different people about if you're watching at home or something going on with the audio sound. So I apologize if you're not hearing everything exactly perfect. If you can show up to the meetings in person, I know that's not always feasible, but just try to bear with us. And I want to thank the members of the council for agreeing to this ordinance 7-0 unanimous. That's a wonderful step, and I hope we get the same 7-0 vote next month at the second reading. And I want to thank all of you guys for coming in and showing your support for what you believe in and holding us accountable. We do represent you, so I would urge you to continue to do that. I mentioned earlier, Jessica was talking about boards and committees. You know, it's a great way to get involved. And a lot of people, you know, politics is a tough game. Not everybody wants to have their life put under a microscope and get involved in politics. Boards and committees is a way for you to get involved without having to go through, right? It's a little bit, you can be just as effective and not have to go through the scrutiny and have your life fall apart that sometimes comes with the dirty game of politics. So I would encourage you all to look into that. We do publish the list when it comes out as part of our council rules, give you an opportunity to see what positions are open and what those positions entail, and give you an opportunity to see if it fits with what your skill set is and if it's something you contribute to. The other thing, deadline to register to vote is in like a week. So just everyone keep that in mind. If you haven't registered to vote, Indiana, Delaware County, we typically have a lower voter turnout. So I'm always trying to get people to register to vote. It's important to make sure you do that. And just one final thing. Earlier there was an incorrect reference to January 6th as an insurrection. I just want to clarify that was a mostly peaceful protest. So I just wanted to state that. That's all I have.
Do you have anything else from council members?
Just one reference to the job, Brian, and you have said that sometimes these are required to be politically balanced or other balances. So even though you put in for it, you may be rejected not for any other reason that's not qualified other than some rules that were put in
At the state level?
at the state. Yes, not our reasons.
Yeah. Eugene?
Yes, I just want to comment on Mr. Webb's statement on registration. Last day to register is October 7th in person at the election office. I just make sure everybody knows the exact date. It's important to get out there and vote.
Great.
On that topic, Rick Spangler, our county clerk, has been in search for a election worker, a Republican election worker, in that office. It's kind of a thankless job. It doesn't pay much, but as in other volunteer positions, it is a huge need in our county for election and poll workers. So I would say if anybody listening or can find somebody who may be interested in do that, the voting registration office is on the first floor. It would be great if we could find somebody to help participate with that as well.
And that's almost like a full-time job. You're here in the building every day leading up to election for that role. For the poll workers, if you have a Democrat vote history, you'll want to reach out to Democrat headquarters to volunteer to work any of the polls. And then the same thing on the Republican side. If you have a Republican vote history, you can contact Republican headquarters to sign up to work the polls. You do not contact the county clerk to work the polls. You contact your party offices. Do we have any other comments? I do want to clarify just a few things. Like I love that we've had so much participation when it comes to folks coming in expressing their concerns about solar. Just for those, I know most of the people in this room understand what the role of council is, but just because I've received some emails where I think there's some misunderstanding, the only function we would handle as council is the tax abatement. So if you have concerns about the ordinance, again, talk to the plan commission and the commissioners. We as a council can't stop the solar. So continue doing what you're doing, reaching out to those individuals, sharing your concerns. I just, like I said, wanted to clarify for anyone who wasn't familiar or might be tuning in. With that, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, our next meeting is Tuesday, October 22nd at 9 a.m. and we adopt our 2025 budget on Thursday, October 3rd. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mr. Cant.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, thank you. We'll see you next month.